My name is Michael Murray, and I've been given the honor of saying a few words about Barry Mansfield. And I find it quite fitting that I'm videotaping this today from my classroom, a place I probably wouldn't be in if not for his mentorship my first year of teaching. The man, the myth, the legend of Barry Mansfield. All stories are true. He's that guy who my first day of teaching came up to me and said, if you're having any issues with kids, you need to do anything, if you're struggling discipline-wise, you send them to me. You send them to my classroom and I'll take care of them. And I was afraid, actually, for them in that moment. So I knew he was serious. I knew he had my back right from day one. He was a teacher, not just to his students, but everybody around him. He schooled me in badminton every Tuesday. I was this young, cocky, brash, 22-year-old, 23-year-old teacher who thought power was gonna beat some old teacher at badminton, and boy, was I wrong. He had me running all over the court, and he was standing in one spot. Did the announcements every Sunday at church, which, again, for me, was half the entertainment. Well, sorry, Jeff. Of going to church on the Sundays, just what was going to be coming out of his mouth. And you never knew. I don't think he even knew sometimes what was going to be coming out next. Took on new challenges, no matter what stage of life. He retired and started hang gliding, and that inspired me even more. He would always try something new and different and always kind of wanted to challenge himself. And I don't know if he ever really knew this, but he inspired me to be the man I am today. His leadership and the way he talked to people, the way he just led by example. He was an inspiration and still is an inspiration for me every day. He's why I do what I do. He's why I am going to be that active when at that time, I'm 22, when I was their age. And they weren't that much older really than I am right now, but they inspired me to lead that active lifestyle and to be that role model for others. We recently bought a little place in Crowsnest Pass, a little vacation home. First week there, I kind of come outside one day and neighbor across the way says, hey neighbor, we need to get your number so that I can take care of your place, or I can let you know if there's anything going on, or just to keep an eye on the place for you. If you need anything, let me know. Here, let's exchange numbers. And of course, at the end of the conversation, I ask, hey, what's your name? And he says, Barry. Of course, and this was, again, ironically, the day after Barry passed. So I know he's still looking down on me. He's still taking care of me. And he's still looking after all of us. Big hugs and prayers to the Mansfield crew and anyone in Hope, and those of you who knew him, how special he was. We'll hopefully see you soon after all this COVID craziness goes down. Love you guys.
Hi everybody, Bob and Ruth here. Wishing we could be with you. Very much missing Barry, wanting to send our love. Just thinking about you guys. Thought we'd tell a couple little stories. So Ruth, you start.
Oh, I just have a memory of Barry many, many years ago when he tried to teach me how to play tennis, and I was really bad. But Barry was so supportive and so upbeat and so positive. He said, you can do it. And then after a while, he just walked away and shook his head, and I had completely defeated him. That's probably the only time I can remember Barry not being positive.
Well, Barry used to try to mentor me as Joan's little brother when I was 12 or 10 or something. And it really turned out to more like Barry was trying to kill me. So a couple of times we went down the Capilano River in a rubber raft, flipping over and being engulfed in waves and water. And I really did wonder if that was the end. Another time we went camping and we were supposed to go up this trail, but we got on the wrong trail. Ended up with it nightfall coming. We didn't have a tent. We ended up sleeping on top of a massive boulder. And every few minutes, as the rain came down and soaked me, I would wake up to make sure I hadn't fallen off the edge of this boulder. And I loved it because Barry took me there, and it was a cool thing. So those are just a couple of short memories, and we just want to send our love, and we hope we can see you all very soon.
See ya.
Bye.
My name is Nadine Williams, and Mr. Mansfield was my grade 6 teacher. I'm trying to actually stand in the spot that I think was his classroom in the field at C.E. Barry. So I remember that he only wore shorts. I think one time we saw him wear pants, and it was very confusing. He's also one of the sort of male role models I had in my life. So I always think about things that he taught in classes. There was just like a lot of life lessons. My mom just told me that he's British, and that was his accent, and I actually didn't know that. I just thought he spoke like he was proper, and I feel like an idiot now. We got to go to a musical, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and he did a little class during lunch break if you wanted to know the backstory, and so he brought in flannel graphs of the Bible. That was before I started going to church, so it was just kind of like a step in the right direction, I guess. I'm really sorry that I didn't actually get to see him before he passed. I was worried that maybe he wouldn't recognize me, and because I hold him to such high regard, I really didn't want that to... I think it would just break my heart if he didn't recognize me. Losing a dad has been the hardest thing for me, and yours was a really good one. And so his loss is going to be so hard, and I'm so sorry.
Judy and I moved to Hope in 1974, and one of the first families we met there were the Mansfields, and we became great friends with them, and I became a great friend with Barry, and Barry was a good friend. Whenever you went to see Barry, he had always something going on. It was always exciting. It was never boring. I know we all have adjectives to say what Barry was like, and I've got a whole list of them, but one of them would be inventive and creative, and he was a great guy to go traveling with. We went to India to meet with his friend Sunil, had a great trip there. Barry loves curry. He loves food. We ate off the street vendors. We were told not to do that, but Barry would get food from one vendor, bring it to the second, get the third vendor to cook it all up on a hot plate, and then it would be done, and then he'd have him do it again. But this time there were 50 Indians around us laughing, wondering, what is he doing? But some of the meals we had were very innovative, very creative, and they always had curry, which Barry really loved. But he kept us safe. We'd be walking through a little village. Before you knew it, he was playing soccer with some kids. Or in Varanasi on the Ganges River, he would be playing cricket with some kids there. So it was always creative. I know that I am going to really miss Barry. I love that man, but you know what? His body couldn't keep up with his mind. It failed, it's gone, and now he's probably dancing and singing in heaven with his master. I love the guy.
Barry was a role model for me. He helped shape me into the person I am today. And that's a good thing, I think. But as an older teenager, when Barry and Joan moved to Hope, I was examining Christianity, and Barry showed me that Christians can have fun. And that was a really important thing for me at that stage. And I'm so honored to have him in my life and to see his testimony play out as a father, as a husband, as a teacher. And he showed me what that could look like for me in the years to come. I'm so thankful for that, and I'm thankful that God used Barry to shape me into the person I am today. Thank you.
I was finishing up a year as an au pair for a family that lived in England, and one day the mother who I worked for, she said, "Jane, I have a very important package arriving today, and I need you to be in the house to receive this package." So partway through the day, the doorbell rings, and from my second story bedroom, I saw a car and not a delivery truck. And someone knocked quite loudly on the door, and I went, that's odd. Like a doorbell ring and a knock. So I rushed downstairs thinking that I'm gonna be late and I need to get the door because I need to pick up this package. And from the bottom of the stairs, you could just see somebody who had something over their head. And I thought, oh dear, it's someone trying to break into the house. They don't have a delivery truck. They're not wearing a uniform, and they've got a face covering. And so I had this moment on the stairs where I was so torn. I was about 3 stairs up from the door, and part of me was saying, go, get this package. It's very important. You've been told. And the other part of me was, don't open the door. This is not a delivery person. You're going to allow this burglar into the home. And I sat on the stairs feeling so conflicted and terrified. And then finally, I see this figure at the door kind of stir, and the head covering comes off and this face peers through the window, and it's Barry Mansfield. Unbeknownst to me, there was no special package or delivery. Barry had come to visit me from Canada on his way to see other family, and Celia, the mum, had wanted me to be home to see him. But I remember that visit so fondly. I had heard stories about how he had marched across the stage at church collecting letters and care package items from people at Grace Baptist to send to me, and he made this special visit just for me, and it made me feel so special and valued and seen, and I felt so extraordinarily loved. So it is a story that I look back on so fondly and so gratefully that he took the time to hilariously surprise me, and in doing so also reminded me of the family I had back home who was supporting me and praying for me.
Joan, Julie, Nikki, Brent, the boys, and all the grandkids, on behalf of the Thiessens, we extend our condolences to you. I wanted to send a quick few thoughts to you via video. It's been a hard time to try to capture my emotions in words. How do we articulate what Barry meant to us? But I knew better than to put it into script, because that would not be honoring to Barry. In fact, one of my favorite memories of Barry was sitting in church in the balcony on Sunday mornings, and if ever we saw Barry striding up towards the mic, I'd sit on the edge of my seats, probably look towards Joan to see if she was shaking her head or anything and wondering what was going to come out of his mouth. And every time, it was pure awesome. That's what it was, pure gold. Loved that he would just come up and share a story or share a joke. Whenever I saw him, he would share something that was happening either in his family, or we would talk a lot of sports. I'd never known so much about Tottenham Hotspurs. To this day, I always wondered, did he really know that I was a Liverpool fan, or did he just assume I was Tottenham? And we had so many great conversations. I appreciated him inviting us over to see some of the contraptions he was building for the grandkids, and inviting our kids to come participate in some of that excitement. The memories are many, and they're all good. And know that we will miss Barry, but we rejoice in where he's at. In fact, right, I imagine him walking into heaven and says, okay, I'm here now. What'd I miss? It's cold. How did he always wear shorts?
So sad that Barry's no longer with us, but I'm happy to say that we've got some lovely memories of the times that we spent together. In 1999, he came over to England. We managed to get the whole family together in the back garden, bouncy castle, paddling pool, and we just had a lovely fun day. There's a lovely photo of Barry with his 4 sisters. I'm enclosing, and I just want to say that we're going to miss him so much. He's played some tricks on us at the times that we've met up with him, but I'm going to leave Rob to give you the stories.
Barry, what can I say? What a character he was. One time when we visited Canada, he picked us up at the airport, and after 12 hours of travelling, he didn't take us to his house. He stopped at a theme park halfway home. He got us to go on this Signet railway. It does the loop. Me and Bob were strapped in. I said, come on, Barry, get on. He said, no. He said, you're not going to get me on that. We're doing the loot-the-loot and there he is laughing his head off. Another little story is he came and visited us and he went to the boot sale one Saturday morning and I said to Bob, I'll only be an hour. But when we got up there was lots of people and he talked, I think, to every one of them. We ended up coming home 3 hours later. There's many more stories I can tell you, but the video time won't allow me. All the very best. Love you loads.
How do I begin? Barry was a caring, lovable, charismatic person with great charm and a wonderful husband, father and grandfather. He tackled everything head on and always managed to finish what he set out to do, except when he took the front door off. My son Stephen always referred to him lovingly as the Mad Professor. We didn't see him often in the UK, but when he did visit, it was enjoyed by our whole extended family. We were so lucky to be able, on a number of occasions, to visit Canada, and he always made sure our feet didn't touch the ground. We were not allowed to rest for hardly a moment, as there was always some new experience he wanted to share with us, including nearly drowning me on 2 occasions, but I always put my trust in him. We were always made so welcome by our family there, and their wonderful friends. Barry only lived a quarter of his life in England, but it seemed like he left a little of himself here that none of us will ever forget. To me, he was just my little brother, who I loved dearly, and I know the rest of the family feels the same. He is now at peace and out of pain. For that we must be grateful. He was so brave and is now with Jesus where he wanted to be. The family in Canada have had a lot of heartache in recent times, but were such a comfort to one another and were able to be with Barry at the end, which gives great comfort. He will be greatly missed by his sisters and brothers-in-law and the whole of the rest of the family. God bless. Love, Anne.
Hey Joan, Brenty, Julie and Dubbers, Nikki, Andy, and the larger family and friends. My name's Sandy. I totally realize it's very inappropriate to do one of these videos at a celebration of life or funeral or whatever you've decided to call this without a shirt on. But look, our friend Barry would pull off all kinds of inappropriate things at public events. And so in his sort of nature and essence, I wanted to share for a minute a few things that when I think of Barry come to mind. And the first one was when we'd get up early in the morning and share in a tennis match. I remember he'd be at the court, usually before me, and he'd be up practicing serving into the corner of the service box, aiming at an empty canister of tennis balls, and just that level of love for the game and discipline stood out to me. And the second thing that stands out, I mean, so many things do, but really when I close my eyes and think about him, we used to, for a period of time, really get into this game called Things. And along with Tasty Bits, which I think was one of Dubber's, Barry had a consistent thing that he wrote whenever I was in the game. And it was basically, why is Sandy here? Like, why is Sandy still here? And so I thought that it was very important that I offer my greetings and condolences. And actually in a moment, I'm going to offer a toast to Barry. And I'm sure what he's thinking right now when he's thinking about his funeral here is he's just like, why is Sandy even here? But in more seriousness, I think it was sometime in 2006, I got the call from you, Brent, where your dad had just been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And I remember that moment very vividly. I was sitting on the beach in White Rock, East Beach. And as you're telling me, it was an emotional call. I reached down and I picked up a little stone. I knew the journey was gonna be hard. Didn't know how long it was gonna be. But I just want you to know that since that day, I have carried this little stone with me in my wallet. And I've kept you and I've kept you Mansfield's in my heart. I know how important it is for us to help each other carry our burdens, and I really want to acknowledge that you as a family have done an amazing job loving Barry and sharing this burden, even this final week, the way you were by his side. It's beautiful, a beautiful thing. The scriptures say, carry one another's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. And I just want to bless you for fulfilling the law of Christ. And so I love you. I hope you're feeling God's love amidst all the sorrows and joys and these funny stories. And with that, I just say a toast to Barry Mansfield, our beloved, God's beloved. Love you all.